Content over everything.
So this is the third event that you've ran so far. Last one, I saw 200 people came down. This one, the snows kept the numbers down.
It's not the snow. It's not the snow. Look, we're black people, so let's just be frankly honest about what it is. The white elephant in the room. We're black. It's January, brother. It's the worst month of the year. And because most black people are employees, we rely on someone else to pay us. So if you haven't been paid for 6 weeks, because you get paid twice before Christmas, so you can go and spend your money in European shops on European celebrations. This is what it is. This is what it looks like for black people come January. We're black. So we just call a spade, and it's better than us being called spades, I suppose. God bless.
100. But cool. But how do you feel like it's progressing, and are you getting a good response? Because there's a lot of people, or there's a lot of feeling within the community about our relationship with politics and with economics. And there's a lot of, like I was saying to the brother earlier, hesitance to go into it. There's a lot of conspiracy behind it. A lot of people who think we failed even before we try.
Well, first and foremost, nothing has changed. Black people are no more susceptible today to these solutions than they were when Malcolm X was alive, or Marcus Garvey, who preceded him. And it's a small cabal of men and women. But that small cabal of men and women are now connected by technology. God bless. So the global community that would not have had any notion of each other, all of those who are working in isolation are now aware of each other. And I made it my mission 18 months ago to connect those that do. Because God bless them, I have no concern at this stage for the beneficiaries. At this stage, my concern is the contributors. So the contributors have to be in one space, sharing their intellectual capital, resources, and experience. This is it.
Cool. So, I mean, you kind of lead on to my next question, which is, could you summarize what Blaxit is, or what you mean by Blaxit when you're talking about it in regards to our community and politics?
Absolutely. So what you've got to understand is what the full ramifications of Brexit are. Brexit is separating from Europe to give this barren little island back its own principality and control over its laws, legislation. Now, there's no such thing as a river without banks, right? Because the banks control which way the river flow. And no matter how strong your arms are, you can't swim against the tide. So you better understand the rules. So Blaxit, for us, must be enshrined in institutions that lie outside of their legislation. Because if you have a boat, you can go anywhere you want to go. So what trusts are vehicles. So when we have an African Caribbean political action group, that's a vehicle that can enable us to go against the tide.
So yeah, we're talking about political action groups, PACs, as they call them in America. You've adopted that over here. Can you explain it to the people what a PAC actually is, a super PAC?
Absolutely. So these things are twofold. So first I'm going to talk about what I am. I'm a businessman within our community. It happens that I know what my role is within our community. My role is to invest in those that do, is to identify those that do and bring them together. That's what an entrepreneur should do. Because what entrepreneurs have is a unique set of problem-solving skills. So where somebody else says, I don't know how to get paid or how to do this, like there's rubbish. If the rubbish was outside here, I'm going to go and get bags and say, how much are you going to pay me to clean it? The question is, what's in it for me? This is always at the mind of an entrepreneur. So now I do that for myself. I transfer that to my community, which is my tithes. Because we don't have to be Christians, Muslims, or Jews to understand what our tithes are. We are obligated to pay tithes. We are obligated to uphold, promote, and preserve our culture. Now, we can't do it by ourselves, which means we need those who can do it within their halls of power. So our role is to play the shadows, identify the talent, groom the talent, enable the talent, and introduce those who are going to make their journey seamless into the halls of power, so that the halls of power come to reflect our mind's eye and what we need to be done to get the resources out of the door for us. So I don't care what your brand is. You could be wearing Puma, you could be wearing Nike, I could be wearing Adidas. If your foot stink when you come in my room, you can't come in my room because you're not doing what I need you to do, which is have clean foot. And people come in our community with their dotted foot. That stinks. And we have no control over it because we're more worried about the brand of their trainers. We only wear Adidas. We only vote Labour. The brand is irrelevant. And the truth is, partisan politics is for children. Because when you get to the Lord Sainsbury's level of the game, they pay both sides of the wall. And then what they do is their lobbyist says bags are wasteful. So consumers should pay 5p for bags. Now, do you think it hurts Lord Sainsbury that we all pay 5p? Do you think his margins went up or down? So he lobbied to change legislation by making a 1 million donation. Oh, wow. So when you understand about councillors and getting councillors into place and lobbying and then teaching our community how to vote as a fist, well, now you're going to do what I say. So when I come to you and say we'd quite like this publicly owned building, just transfer over the deeds. Don't even worry about it. We've got full use. We're going to have rites of passage, supplementary schools, community meetings. And you know what? They're going to do it. Because if he doesn't, somebody else will. And do you know what politicians want ultimately? To get paid. So they can go and explore their strange sexual proclivities with boys, girls, animals, or dead bodies. It is what it is. And you know what? I can say what I like because nobody's going to fire me. It's okay. So where my political colleagues can't speak, I can. And it's okay. Look, we have to be honest. Europeans, especially in political halls, are sexual perverts. And it's well known. It's also well known that the government protected a list of 140 paedophiles. And there's nothing we can do about it because we're not organised. So, understanding that our children may be the victims in these homes, we are obligated to protect them. And we can only do this by organisation. So if we're not organised, and that is our business leaders donating what will be their money that can offset against their tax. My missus is freezing cold and she's looking at me because black women do not like snow, rain, or anything else that's going to mash up their complexion or hair. So my brother, who is my
Mr. Ice.
MI5, MI6 officer in the horns of black power. No, African Freemasonry. Be specific. Okay. Yeah.
100%. Thank you for that. I'm definitely going to catch up with you properly on content again. Do a full interview. I definitely want to talk to you about the relationship between economics and politics and going deeper on that.
Well, politics and economics are intrinsically linked. It's like the relationship between the pleasure receptacle, the prostitute, and the pimp, the economic collector.
It goes on to the forms of gender.
Of course.
Male and female.
That's up, yeah?
Content over everything. From your
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Okay.
Listen.
So when we talk about the rites of passage, when we have organizations like 100 Black Men and Manhood Academy, WYLA, amongst many more, who are all brothers. See, they're not separate brands. They're gentlemen in isolation who formed this thing because our African spirit tells us to do it. So they come together as a consortium and they're all in one WhatsApp group and everybody knows each other.